Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Thank you for watching. Today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Dune, which came out in October. Very cool movie for sure. I mean, the thing is, I can't keep all the names straight. I never read the books. I'm not super into this world. I thought the movie was cool, and I loved the filming of it and the story, but I don't really feel drawn to pick up the book and really get into it. I don't care. The movie's good, though. This movie is, if I can give you a brief, I'll try and make it brief, a brief synopsis. The movie takes place in the future, where the substance called spice is being mined on the planet Dune, or I think they call it Arrakis in the movie. Anyway, so the spice is being mined on the planet Dune, and this spice is really important because it prolongs your life, and it's like the key to interstellar travel, so it's really important. In this world, you have different planets that are governed by, these different houses. And so, you have the bad guys, and their planet is governed by the House of the Harkonnen. And then you have the Emperor, which you never see, you just hear his name said here and there. But then you have the good guys, which is the House of Atreides. And throughout the movie we follow Paul, who is supposed to be the main character, which I'll get into later. But Paul is the son of the high leader of the House of Atreides. And Paul has, these visions. He can kind of like predict the future. He's like the chosen one. And when he arrives on the planet Dune, the people that are native to the planet have a prophecy about a guy that can do the things that he does. So, as briefly as I can put it, that's what's going on in this story. There's a lot more to it. It's not just that. But pretty much, the House of the Harkonnen that previously mined the spice are taken off that planet by the Emperor, and the Emperor has appointed the House of Atreides to take over the mining and spice operations on the planet. But it's really sketchy, and it feels as though that the good guys are set up to fail. So getting into the story and how I felt about it, I really wasn't sure if I liked it or not the first time I saw it. And even the second time I saw it, I still wasn't quite sure. I like it. Don't get me wrong, this is a great movie, and it's really epic. It's a very epic movie. But I felt, especially towards the character Paul, who is supposed to be, the main character of this story, he doesn't really feel like the main character. And it does a weird, it's good in a way, but it also is bad because you feel disconnected from the character, and I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. This is just how I feel about it. But they build up their characters almost in an equal way. So usually when you have a main character who is the chosen one and he's supposed to save the world, the movie primarily focuses on them, and then you have the side characters. But in this movie, it kind of feels like all of the side characters and Paul, the main character, it kind of feels like all of them are main characters. I find that a little weird. I'm not sure if I like that, because I just want to focus on the main character. But what is cool about that is that when something bad happens to the character or to the side characters, you don't just feel bad for the main character. You feel bad for all of the good characters in the movie. They don't feel like just side characters. So it's odd for me, but it's also kind of cool. So that's like a weird, like, I'm complaining about it, but I also like it. So it's not a big thing that matters. It's just that Paul doesn't really feel like the main character. Everybody feels like a main character. The story can be quite slow at times. It is a very slow building movie. And there's a lot of world building going on, and there's a lot of exposition, which, you know, one of the main rules of filmmaking is show, don't tell. And this movie tells you a lot, but it doesn't break your attention. It didn't kick me out of the movie at all, because the exposition was presented, the way they told you things was done in an intriguing way. It wasn't just straight in your face, I'm telling you something. No, they kind of hide it. It's really well done, so you don't feel like the movie is preaching to you. Yes, there's a lot of exposition, and it's kind of slow building, but it's very intriguing, and it's done in a way that keeps you intrigued. It keeps you engaged in the film. The other thing about this movie is that it is a part one. It is not a complete movie, and I feel like you kind of need to know that going into the movie, because there's a lot of stuff being presented to you, and nothing is really completed at the end. Nothing is really resolved at the end. Which I think that they should have marketed the movie as a part one. They didn't. It was just Dune. But when you go and watch the movie, you know, the title card comes up and it says Dune, part one, and then it blanks out really fast. So you're like, did I just see a part one, or am I going crazy? So personally, I think they should have marketed this movie as, you know, this is part one, we're gonna make a part two, because this movie feels incomplete, and that kind of sucks. And now we have to wait a year for the next one. But if you view this movie as a part one, if you view it as, oh, we're gonna get another movie and maybe another movie, you won't be disappointed. You'll just, you know, you'll just not want to wait for you can't wait for the next one to come up, which is a good thing. It's a really solid story. It's a really intriguing story. You do not know what's going to happen next, because they do not give you the answers all at once. No, you are constantly in the dark, which is really cool. It keeps you engaged and intrigued. The actors did an amazing job performing this movie, and each one feels like they fit the part perfectly. None of them feel miscast in any way. The only character I'm not so sure about is Zendaya's character. And mainly, I'm not sure about her character because she's just not in the movie that much. And they kind of make a big deal of her character. She's like the character that Paul is having dreams about. And you don't know why. It's just like some girl, you know. So I don't really know why she's so important. So I'm not sure about her character, but again, we're gonna get another movie next year or 2 years from now. I forget when it's supposed to come out. So I'm sure that, you know, they'll expand her character and that she'll bring something to the table. And I'm curious to find out what that is. So yeah, as acting goes and actors, they all did a great job. Fantastic. Fantastically performed movie, for sure. I hope all that makes sense. I'm going to have a real chore editing this because I will just ramble and then forget where I was going before, and then none of this makes sense. One of the things that I admire most about watching movies, it should be the story, but it's not. I really enjoy watching, or just like admiring the camera work and the cinematography in movies. When you get a movie that is really trying to make creative shots, creative in how they block it and how, you know, everything is framed inside the shot. And then the colors as well. movements, colors, all of it. When they try to make their shot look like a painting, like a piece of art, that is what I admire the most. But most films, they either have a really good story and really basic or poor cinematography, and then you'll get movies which have really good cinematography, a really creative look and colors and everything, but their story is just flat. It's just doesn't always work. But Dune, this movie, and this director, Denis Villeneuve, and I don't know if I pronounced that right, so sorry. He with each movie that he makes, he always seems to have those two things almost level. He always seems to have really artistic looking camera shots. And he always seems to have a really intriguing and interesting, thoughtful story along with that. If you look at Enemy and Prisoners, The Arrival, which is personally one of my favorite movies of his, Blade Runner 2049, and now Dune, they all look really good and artistic, and they all also have solid stories. And if I had to recommend any of his movies, the one I would recommend the most is Arrival. It pretty much encapsulates everything good about this director's style. I think his other movies are also really good, but they also tend to have some issues with them, and Arrival is probably one of the cleaner films of his. And, you know, with that are the visual effects of this movie, and like the cinematography, which I really enjoy in this movie because it's so beautiful, is also the visual effects. The visual effects are amazing. You can see the amount of effort and money that went into the effects of this movie, because they are so well done. You know, this isn't like a Marvel movie you go see in theaters. No, this is like an epic film. This is huge, and the effects are huge, and they just look so good, and like they fit the environments perfectly. The spaceships, the battles, the landscapes, everything looks really great. There's these really cool, like, dragonfly helicopter things in this movie. I mean, they're just cool. But they look, they don't look, you know, I mean, it's a hard thing to say because, like, obviously things like this don't exist. But again, this isn't like, you know, your typical effects in blockbuster movies like Transformers or the Marvel movies. You know, each vehicle and planet and spaceship, landscapes, they each feel like they could exist because they look so incredible. When it comes to visual effects, again, I'm not an expert in this, you know, I'm just trying to express what I saw in the movie and how I feel about it and what I think of it. The only time I was kicked out of the movie a little bit was a part where the main character, Paul, was having a dream. And in the dream, he's in this huge battle, and he's doing a bunch of flips and stuff, and cool moves, stabbing people, and he's got a really cool, like, stealth-looking suit on. I don't know, desert suit. It looks cool, but it doesn't really look real. It doesn't look like a physical suit. And the way he's moving doesn't really look like the way a human being would move. Especially when you compare it to how they fight later in the movie. It just doesn't look right, and I think that's because it is completely computer generated. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. And it kicked me out a little bit. I didn't like that at all. But besides that, the effects are really good, really well done, and you know, everyone involved in this movie making these effects and making the movie, they did an amazing job. And I mean, they should be super proud, which I'm sure they are. This is really, really good. Like I said, this is an epic movie, so everything is dialed up to 11. Woof. And the villain's really creepy. And the last thing I want to touch on is the music. This music works really well with this movie. And that's really all I can say about the music, because, I mean, Hans Zimmer composed it, so you know it's going to be good. I mean, his work in Interstellar and Inception and Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel are some of my favorite pieces of music to listen to. But what I don't really care for about the soundtrack of Dune is that I can't really listen to it. It's not like those other soundtracks where you can just turn on and, you know, listen to it and, you know, think, oh, this is beautiful. Because the music, it really only works within the movie. If you take it out and listen to it by itself, it's not, I didn't find it very memorable. But when you watch it in the context of the movie, it's moving, you know. It's good, it's exciting and terrifying even. If you like sci-fi movies, it's perfect. Even if you haven't read the books, which I haven't, I don't really know anything about the story of Dune, you know. I've never read the books, I don't know the lore, I just went and saw the new movie and I thought it was great. And you don't need the books. You don't, if you know nothing of the story of Dune, you never read the books, you don't need to read the book before seeing the movie. I'm sure book fans will hate me for that, but it's a great movie. I didn't need the book to know that. It's a great story, and I didn't need the book to know that. If I had to give this a rating, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give Dune a solid 8. That's my review of Dune. This is what I thought of it, at least. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you go and watch this movie for yourself. If you get a chance to see it in theaters, please do, because, I mean, with how epic this movie is, you gotta see it on the biggest screen possible. So please go watch the movie, it's really great. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to make more reviews of movies going forward. And we'll see where that takes us. So, I'll see you next time. Bye.